Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our panel on how to enhance the business enabling environment for women entrepreneurs and for the inclusion of women in the workplace. Gender equality and social inclusion has been a key part of the LEEP program, and we've been very, very fortunate to work closely with the League of Lebanese Women in Business throughout the program as a fantastic partner, both in helping us identify female entrepreneurs who we can provide grants to, in supporting us in component 2 and helping vulnerable women into work, both through providing businesses willing to hire vulnerable women and also helping us find a pool of vulnerable women to place in work. And they have been absolutely fantastic partners in helping us think through our policy advocacy program, particularly bringing the perspective of how to improve the business environment for women. We also have a wonderful distinguished panel. I will let them introduce themselves later on. But before we move to the panel session, I would like to invite Nisreen Deeb to come and talk to us about the subject at hand. So thank you very much, Nisreen.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. First, I was telling James that I'm sad, I'm happy at the same time because LEEP is leaving, but we have the chance to celebrate together. So hello again. This is Nisreen Deeb. I'm the Executive Director of the Lebanese League for Women in Business, a dear partner to LEEP Association. So here, actually, I'm going to say a few words about LLWB. It's an organization that's founded in 2006, and our slogan is to take the lead and succeed. At LLWB, we believe we're creating a platform for women in order to share experiences, developing competencies and skills, establishing network, accessing funds and mentorship. We do believe at LLWB in the partnership. That's why in all our projects, initiatives, and events, we do partner with like-minded people in the community, and one of them is LEEP, definitely. We now reached more than 470 members. We have 4 task forces to fight and to help the community in Lebanon. More than 40 experts and trainers. And also we have done a lot in the Beirut Blast initiative. We have done more than 650 trainings and workshops. And we do have more than 30 partnerships in Lebanon and with international organizations as well. So now the panel is about enhancing the business enabling environment for women, entrepreneurs, and for the women in the workplace. It's good to mention some numbers and some results of some reports done by international organizations and also by LLWB. So based on the UN report in 2020, and unfortunately, the women unemployment rate was 26% by September 2020, translating to around 51,000 more back then in 2019. And the number of job lost for women is estimated to be around more than 100,000. And Lebanon is one of the highest overall gender gaps in the world, which it ranks 139 out of 153. Based on an LLWB survey, we have done recently a survey among our members and among our network. We have found out that the challenges faced by the pandemic, by the Beirut blast, by the economic crisis, there is a lot of challenges actually happening. I'm going to mention some of them. Organizing the business entrepreneurs, they are barely able to organize their business and planning for growth, managing their finance, setting a marketing plan and attracting customers, loss of market data, problem importing materials, also exporting their goods, and there is a lot of much more challenges faced by the entrepreneurs in Lebanon. The challenges faced by women in their inclusion in the workplace, also there is a lot, and this is done also by a report, part of a project LLWB is doing, that is SAWI, and also with another survey LLWB has done with the female employers and employees. We found out, unfortunately, that the Lebanon remained behind the minimum recommended maternity. They faced a lot of problems in the maternity leaves, in the breastfeeding, and many other policies and laws concerning including or encouraging to having more inclusive workplace for women. What we do at LLWB, we have followed 360 approach to support from school students, even dropout students, university students, startup entrepreneurs, women in the workplace, senior or C-level women, and also retiree and women and expert. And this is what we do on the ground. It's good to mention in the school, for the school girls or for the school students, what we do, like Girls Get IT initiative, It's a 3-year program was supported by UNICEF to empower and to include more women and to introduce them to the STEAM skills, the schoolgirls. Also for the seniors, what we do is like Women on Board initiative, women in the public sector. For SMEs and entrepreneurs, we're doing an amazing project since 3 years in the Bekaa and in the North region to support entrepreneurs. Also for the women in the workplace through SAWI project, we're drafting now policies with 10 key employers in Lebanon for the recruitment, retention, and promotion for the women to encourage them in the workplace. Our future plan is just improving and keeping the same plan to empower more women in the workplace, to having more entrepreneurs, to let them survive the crisis they are facing now, to let them access the international marketplace actually, and much more other. To go more into what is needed, what are the challenges, and what are the possible solutions, we're having this panel, and I'm gladly want to introduce our dear panelists who are valuable LLWB members working towards the community and doing a lot of amazing job. So I'm going to introduce Mr. Yasser Akkaoui. So Mr. Yasser Akkaoui is the chairperson of the KConcept Holding. Thank you for being with us, Mr. Yasser, and for leading this panel. I'm going to introduce also the panelists. We have Madame Najah Jarroush. She's a valuable LLWB member, and actually she's in the community of the Bekaa chapter, and she's doing amazing job there. So Madame Najah Jarroush, she has oh my God, your biography is just amazing. So you're actually more skilled, actually. So more than 60 years, lapsed through a lot of experience. She worked as, she said, she's very young though. She worked actually in the agriculture engineering at the American University of Beirut, and now she supports a lot of entrepreneurs in Lebanon. I'm going to make it very brief. We have Madame Amal Abdallah also with us. She's a partner and country manager at Saba Intellectual Property. We have Madame Basma Abdul Khalek. She's an economist at the Institut de Finance Basil Fuleihan and the Ministry of Finance in Lebanon. And we have Mr. Ramy BouJawdeh, who is the Deputy General Manager of Berytech since 2014. And also Berytech is a dear partner for LLWB. So thank you so much for being with us today. And I leave it to Mr. Yasser.
Okay, thank you so much. It's Oshi, I would like to thank LLWB for having me. I hope I will not embarrass Asma. She's the one. I pride myself to be the first man to be a member of LLWB back in 2009 in a famous meeting that took place at AUB. And I'm proud to associate myself with all the beautiful work that you have been accomplishing. With us on the panel, we have an amazing group of panelists. Of course, whether it is from dedicating their lives to education, entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship, in a field that is very hard for women, which is agriculture and agriculture policy, an activist. We have Ramy that has been also an activist, making sure that innovation and entrepreneurship does not dismiss the role of women. And we're going to discuss that now. We have Amal, who basically built a wonderful career in intellectual property and has been lecturing on the role of women and intellectual property and innovation around the world and in Lebanon, and you have been inspiring for all. And we have a very aspiring, and she's like the ray of hope for a lot of Lebanese men and women, and of course for her peers, a very professional and serious economist who is very widely read and respected. We have among us here on this panel testimonials to all the aspiration and the ambition and the successes, and there's a lot to learn from you. So the first question I would like to ask is, let us first start by validating the size of the challenge. Maybe qualify it, quantify it, try to explain it very quickly, And then the second part of our discussion would be about what works, what doesn't work, and maybe set up kind of a plan of action or a call for action that can translate maybe to additional initiatives that are targeting to making sure that women can definitely capitalize on all what they can give. And here I'm talking as a corporate governance expert. It was very hard to make the case 20 years ago or 25 years ago, and when we started our activism for corporate governance and environmental, social, and governance principles and standards, because it was impossible to prove the materiality of corporate governance or ESG, or even women employment, or even women entrepreneurs. Today, this materiality has been proven. You know, there are so many research by the best institutions that validate that one, women at the workplace are of value added. Women-led initiatives and entrepreneurs and corporates perform better. Funds that invest in only women companies also outperform other funds. So that the materiality is proven. So for those who just want to add in the codes of conduct and code of ethics that yes, we employ women and we look good because we don't discriminate, maybe they need to think twice. Investing in women can yield a lot of profit. So what's standing in our way? Okay, so I will start with Najah, and hopefully we will follow the seating.
Yeah. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you, guests. And I hope I can be of benefit. I started a long time ago in 1992, and I wasn't aware of anything of the business language. I just had my degree in agricultural engineering, and I saw the need for me to support my family, my household. I went into business without rethinking. They told me that you took a risk. I didn't see the risk. I saw the probability of succeeding. So I started there, and after 15 years, I will do the time lapse, and then retrospected into what I did before. So the first thing that I was aware of is that I didn't have the fear. Looking at the people or the women in my area, in the rural area in Bekaa, I sense the fear of women to be in the failure side. They don't have enough courage to do whatever they have in mind. There is a small market. It's not diverse. The ideas are very poor, so there is no creativity, no ideation. And there is another barrier, big barrier, which is the language barrier. And I'm not talking about the language of English versus Arabic or other languages. I'm talking about the business language that I have learned after 15 years when I joined the program with MEPI through the LLWB, and I had a mini management program, and then I learned what is a business plan and how to do the feasibility study, how to do projections for the coming years, and what will work for my business best. So I spent the 15 years doing the trial and error and seeing my potential. I was teaching myself, educating myself. So it is a matter of determination. If you have the determination and the exact drive, you will reach there. Yeah. You told me 4 minutes. I'm not aware of time.
Let's keep it dynamic.
Okay.
Berytech has been at the forefront. First off, before 2014, all the activism you've done to promote entrepreneurship and basically the foundations of entrepreneurship in Lebanon, and then the incubators, the accelerators, the funds, and all your contribution. What really stopped, or what was dysfunctional, or didn't allow Lebanon to create an enabling environment specifically for women? Where did we fail, and what? And maybe on the second question would be, what can we do to rectify that?
Sure. Thank you, Yasser. It's great to be here. As you mentioned, Berytech started in 2002, and actually our first intervention supporting women entrepreneurs particularly was in 2012 with our first cohort of Femmes Francophones Entrepreneurs, which we are in its 10th edition now. We're very proud of it happening soon. But having said that, there are and there have been a lot of limitations for women to thrive in business, from burdens related to family pressure, burdens related to opening a bank account. Unfortunately, in Lebanon, opening a bank account for some women requires to have a guarantor in a way or another. Having women in the workplace, because the labor law is limiting in terms of flexibility and all the things that are there, women tend to be less present in the work. And again, we see people, a lot of entrepreneurs starting their career in a business and then moving into their own entrepreneurship. So having that stretch into moving into an entrepreneurship career is also limiting. So the number of women in the workplace being lower than the man represent a lower number of women entrepreneurs in the work in this. Having said that, we see a lot of women joining or doing their entrepreneurship career somewhere through mid-career. So they decide at a certain point, there's change in their life and they want to move into entrepreneurship. And here comes the courage that Najah has mentioned. There is a lot of courage that needs to be there, but also support that needs to come from her surrounding. And this sometimes is not present in several communities that would limit them. The risk of failure is also a big limitation. Now, going back to policy, there are several areas that would limit women to join in, whether it's legal policies and regulations, as you mentioned, banking, employment flexibility, the option to take a loan, et cetera, are one. But on the other side, you have the stereotyping of the community, which is also a limiting factor for women to take risk. And competition is another thing. So when we started working also on competitions, we realized that sometimes when it's a competition with no teasers or maybe a bit of push or specific competitions for women-led businesses, it becomes tougher for women to come in and compete. Whereas when you do a particular competition or a process or a program for women, it's easier to get them into the process. And you see much more collaboration when they are in a cohort working together, supporting each other and learning from each other than you'd have in a cohort where it's mixed. So it's quite an interesting approach. But I think regulation, stereotyping were all limiting factor to that enhancement.
Yeah, it's sad how when a man fails, there's always a million reasons for failing. When a woman fails, it's because she's a woman. And she doesn't get given a second chance, while men get so many second and third and fourth chances and they keep on failing. Amal, if anybody is to make the point that investing in women is a success, is you. Right? As an entrepreneur, you have contributed to the success of the company. And basically, you are, if anybody refers to Saba, basically, it's basically everybody says Amal Abdallah. So it's, and this makes a lot of people proud. And I'm sure Saba are very proud of that too. If you can share with us a bit of what were really the entrepreneurial challenges that you faced throughout your career. And what advice, if you want, and the second part of second part of this panel, if you can share with us, what are the recommendations you can give? But what are the main challenges that stood in your way and you had to break them down?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Actually, I started at age 22. Oh. Hello. Yeah, it works. I started working with Saba Intellectual Property at age 22, where 7 partners were at ages 54 and above. And I was the only lady. No, compared to 22, so they were a bit mature, and I was really a starting entrepreneur, if you want. So it took me a lot of time to convince them to change some basic things in the working environment, to change the way we deal with clients, to change. So they were resistant to change back then. And the most challenge that I had was that you are a lady starting working women. So you have a lot to learn. And I was learning from them a lot. But looking at the woman as a woman, not as someone who can improve, was the main challenge. And whatever you say at a later stage, not at 22, you have to say it very direct, very know how to say it, what to say, your posture, your gesture, because everything, you have to be very conscious of how to act. Because everything that a woman does will be judged to the contrary. When the man says the same thing, it's acceptable. So a woman, when you are a woman, when she is bold in the positive sense, she's treated as male characteristic. A woman should know how to work around this characteristic and attribute. So yes, it was a bit hard to prove to them that a young lady can achieve. And actually, within 3 years, I made a 380% increase in sales in Lebanon alone. So it was like, seriously? They were really shocked. They didn't expect that someone, a lady, can do this. So after that, at any point and junction, I make sure to say what I want, to ask whether it is a raise, a promotion, a change in my responsibilities. I was constantly asking for more and more. And fortunately, the company is a big one, and there were room for improvement. So, and because they saw that I'm generating money, they accepted to promote me. And by the way, the same person, a man, was paid much more than me. He was putting less effort than me. We were in the same category or position, but until now, he is paid more than me by like 20%, which is not acceptable, but it is how it is in our culture. So I think we need more work toward convincing companies to have a strategy for inclusion, for better chances to advance, and to an equal pay, equal promotion, equal opportunities, if you want.
I can definitely say that you are good business. I'm sure they saw it,
Yeah.
but definitely there are still challenges ahead.
Yeah.
Basma is among a breed of very promising economists, and I can say it because at Executive Magazine, all the best economists that joined us were women. They have they are driven by purpose and not by self-entitlement, and this is something that's very important to address. They are better at they are more patient in collecting data. They are more patient in developing economic models and economic modeling. They are definitely more attentive to deriving correlations and regressions, among many others. Basma, what can you share with us in terms of maybe numbers and figures that you have, impact on the economy, what's going on? How can we quantify or qualify the size of the problem, and what we can and how fast can we move on the solutions?
Thank you, Yasser, for this question. And I also extend my appreciation to LLWB for inviting the Institute of Finance to be part of this discussion. In fact, I work at the Institute of Finance, which is a public institution that Okay. A public institution that has nothing to do with electricity.
Good one.
That is working toward a better Lebanon through public policy and capacity development on financial governance particularly. Our team is made of 90% of women who are bright women, in the policy area, economists, and subject matter experts, and training engineering experts. So just to link the theme of this panel a little bit to the overall context of the country, the macroeconomic context. You named a lot of challenges that are facing entrepreneurs and women entrepreneurs in particular, from capacity building, lack of access to finance, unfair competition, limited markets, etc. And we know that today entrepreneurs and especially women are facing another type of challenges that are directly related to the country situation. No need to list all the characteristics of the severe economic and political crisis we are living. It's our daily living. We are passing through a lot of challenges. Businesses are closing or others are ceasing operations for a certain time. So a lot of challenges are facing us. The macroeconomic environment indicate that we are in an economic downturn that could last for years if no policy action and serious recovery plan is in place. Minus 25% of GDP contraction. More than 60% of the Lebanese are living in poverty, and the recent ESCWA report mentioned that we are going towards multidimensional poverty, not only the income, the monthly income of families and households, but also their access to health services, to education, to water, to electricity, and to basic needs to fulfill their human living, and the erosion of a middle class, and also inflation and the contraction of the purchasing power. So all these challenges we all know. We don't want to list all of them. At the Institute of Finance, we have issued a report back in 2018, in the beginning of the year, called Darkening Horizons, because we have analyzed, we have put highlights on the most critical economic indicators that showed back in 2018 that we will reach a crisis point at a in a specific time. And the economic indicators show that in terms of competitiveness of our economy, we are lagging behind other MENA countries, 88 over 141 countries. We are having more deteriorating infrastructure, and this is impediments to businesses, to investors, and to women in particular also. We are having lack of capacities to attract new investors, and capital expenditures in the Lebanese budget are shrinking from year to year. Before the crisis, it was 2% of the Lebanese budget for capital expenditures, and these are the expenditures that are specified to do big projects, to attract investors, to employ Lebanese capacities, Lebanese talents. So this percentage is shrinking with the crisis now to less than 1% of the Lebanese budget. And with the budget shortages and the policy inaction and all the freezing of political, if you want, solutions that would lead us to a government plan that will put us back on the track of recovery, all this will have a cost on the economy and will have a cost on women entrepreneurs, that we shall find solutions or think of alternatives together as a society to be able to overcome these challenges.
Thank you, Basma. It's sad, but it's reality. Maybe we should face reality. I always say it, had the Lebanese citizens read what was published by your institute and on the pages of Executive Magazine for the last 20 years, warning of what is coming ahead, maybe the people would have taken to the street much, much earlier than they did. Yet, it's a reality, and we need to do something about it. You know, we cannot just give up, right? And especially whenever it comes to women entrepreneurs, they have a big role to play, of course, to overcome all the challenges that they already have, but maybe also leverage the advantages that they have. As I said, today, the women-led entrepreneurs have better chances of having access to capital, have better understanding of the purpose, principles, and standards and ethical behavior. And they will be much faster noticed by the investment community worldwide. And yes, there are more than still $1 trillion down from $1.5 trillion before the pandemic, looking to be invested in frontier and emerging market. And women entrepreneurs are better positioned. So what can be done on two fronts? Okay, one front to de-risk the Lebanese entrepreneur or the Lebanese corporation, and two, how can we leverage the role of women to be of value added or to add the premium on the value of these corporate ventures?
I suppose I can say my own ideas, but I would like to compare Lebanon to the whole world. It's a very, very, very small country. So hence, the solution to a very small country is very easy. And change is happening so fast that we might acquire the new trends of work and business on the technological base or the fast rhythm that's going through the artificial intelligence. Maybe we can acquire it faster than other countries and we will rescue ourselves. This is my hope. But women are going to be more highlighted in a very small country because all the men went out of Lebanon into other bigger investments. So women are holding the economics here with small entrepreneurship, with better ideas, with better knowledge, with better capacities. And it's going down to have a community, a better community with women supported by the networks, the many networks. And of course, each organization that is working with business, like LLWB, there are many, and each one of them is having a different reach in a different region. And they're working on women from the micro businesses through the cooperatives and other businesses that are going into entrepreneurship and other scale of business. This reach and this community, I believe that it's going to enhance itself and support itself through the policies that Basma was talking about and Amal too, and through the better environment that the men are leaving for women, because women are respecting the positioning of women, and eventually we will get the share through the policy that LLWB made, for example, as a 30% share of women on board. And the slang of it or the cliche of it is breaking the glass ceiling. So we are seeing a faster movement for women to be in better positions and to handle things with their determination and care of details rather than, as you said, they go for the purpose rather than their self-achievement.
Thank you. The entrepreneurship ecosystem has been, the pillars have been stripped down. So the pillars maybe they are still standing, but we need to somehow to redress them in many ways. Meanwhile, I've been talking to BDD and Antwerp, who both testify that although a lot of entrepreneurs have left, a lot of social entrepreneurs are coming in. So the social entrepreneurship space and the NGO space is flourishing, and they are populating these spaces who at a certain point risk to close down because they were empty of their tenants. What can Berytech do? First, to adapt to this move, and second, to make sure that women entrepreneurs have access to design thinking, have access to training and development, networking, bringing them together, and to be an integral part of this new wave of entrepreneurship. Mind you, when I was talking to BDD and to Antwerp, they both said that most, if not all, of the initiatives were women-led initiatives. So somehow the humanitarian side of women is much stronger than men, obviously, and whether it's Ardi Ardak, whether it's Basma, whether it is Beit al-Baraka, I can go on, or a woman-led initiatives. And they were the first and very fast to come and to intervene. How can we channel, or how can we contribute for this energy to be able to preserve its value and grow its value?
Definitely. You hit the nail on its head, Yasser. I think what we have built as an entrepreneurship ecosystem in Lebanon, from its time it started till the time it flourished, is that we have skills and know-how that is available in Lebanon that we're using. So, and there has been a lot of effort to push for more programs supporting women. As I mentioned, we've had a number of competitions. We've had even one focused on mompreneurs, so getting moms to reintegrate the business world. We have the Femme Francophone Entrepreneur. We've had a number of programs where we're supporting women to enter even sectors that they have not been into. Renewable energy and agriculture and so on, where you see lower amount of women either leading or participating in the workforce. So I think a lot of the knowledge that we have in terms of design thinking, support, and so on is being deployed more and more with women. And as Najah has mentioned, it took her probably at that time 15 years to get into a program of mini management or an MBA. I think now we're giving women are getting a faster track to enter into those programs and benefit. And the intervention started, if I go back a few years back, it was more about training, how to run a business, how to start a business. And now we're diving deeper into complex things, especially with the crisis. So we're having workshops where we're working on business modeling, reinventing the value creation of the business, looking into pricing, looking into exporting, looking into coaching, creating groups of people working together, coaching each other, working with mentors. All of that are being developed. Before the crisis, the LLWB, Berytech through IMM Capital created the LWAF, which is a woman angel investment fund, to support women in with women funding. I think this will continue. What we're also seeing is that we're going deeper into discussions like helping them go into assertive communication. Sometimes you need that in the business. Najah was talking about the business language. As being assertive in the business work, even Amal mentioned that in her career. Being assertive in your business would get people to listen and follow. And that's important. Women tend to be, as you mentioned, more humane and more caring, and sometimes that does not help to push forward. So they need to be more assertive. So we've worked on that. We're working with them on looking on how to raise grants, if grants are available from the donor agencies and so on, how to write proposals, how to look into this. And we're seeing women as also, again, we're seeing more men leaving the country than women staying, which puts more pressure on them to enter the workplace. And you're moving from a wave of, opportunity entrepreneurship, which was the case a few years back, into more of a necessity entrepreneur. And it could be necessity within opportunity. So social entrepreneurship is a necessity / an opportunity entrepreneurship for women to start a business and grow a business, where we have a lot of social needs, whether it's education, whether it's access to supporting things related to energy. Waste is an amazing sector now that can flourish because of the value of the disposable that we used to don't care about, and now is being collected and treated as commodities. There are a lot of sectors where women can penetrate, and we see a bit of that happening. Do we want to accelerate this? For sure. Do we want to see more programs funding this? For sure. But there are programs happening. There are supports happening. We need more. We need the momentum to continue. And there are some gaps through the value chain of supporting women that are sometimes still missing. Especially on the financing side when it comes to scaling. So, but there are mechanisms in place, and I hope that we can, through this panel and through other actions, to spread more information about those opportunities. Because even for not necessarily women, young entrepreneurs who want to start something, sometimes they don't know where to start and how to start, but there are mechanisms in place to get things moving.
Thank you, Ramy. While in the entrepreneurship space, you can always, or women-led enterprises can manage the toxicity of social ignorance whenever it comes to which moves very slowly and it changes very slowly. Yet, in the intra-entrepreneurial space, like the space that Amal works in, it is omnipresent. She cannot distance itself from it. So she has to manage in that space every day. How are you doing it? How can you manage this as social ignorance, if I may, or this very slow-moving social ignorance, and still keep up? What are the advice that you can give for women, like in your case, who are working in sometimes male-dominated environments with all the stereotypes and all the weights that come with that? How do you deal with it? What would be your advice to the corporation and to the young ladies?
Yes. Normally to the young ladies, we are communicating a lot. We are always discussing all the features, all the issues that are surrounding us, how to deal with it. We try to show the young ladies and men as well that we care for their well-being in this crisis. So communication is very important. Also, financial support is very important. For women to stay, or for women being an entrepreneur in the company, we try to push them to make them feel that they are valuable. And we created a gender KPI and rewards, and we created a smart recruitment, non-biased process. We do mentorship programs, we do sponsorship programs for women. So actually, this is what we can do for our women inside the
But what about on the corporate culture? For example, what can you do to make sure that if you want discrimination or violations against women at the workplace are being reported and monitored, and the board is basically aware of the dangers of that?
We have a person in the company that anyone can go to him and talk and state his concerns, her concerns. So, and this is unanimously reported above to the upper management. And we have policies and laws that deal with each and every cases aside. So depending on the case, we have a law that or punish or take necessary actions. So this is it.
Thank you. Basma, we talked at the beginning about the materiality of the role of women. And we all know that Lebanon is missing so much opportunity for not maximizing utility of most probably the most precious resource we have, which is women. In terms of advocacy and policy formulation, can we is anybody making the case for the policymakers to really take this seriously? Is anybody translating, or did anybody if you want, any economic modeling that can show you if we invest in women over the next 4, 5, 10, 20 years, how this would have an impact on the economy from a financial side and from development side and economic side?
I will answer your question on two levels. The first one is the entrepreneurship point of view. According to the UN, putting women at the center of economies will drive better and more sustainable outcomes and development society. The figures, if we look at the figures, because we love looking at the figures, it showed that women-owned businesses are an important engine for economic growth. 40% of them employ a majority of women and reinvest up to 90% of their earnings in their families and communities, compared to 35% only for men. So this is the added value of having a women-led business. And also having the ability and agility to grasp economic opportunities and keep developing their capacities with the help of funds. In the case of Lebanon, we don't want to forget the role of diaspora. because diaspora are helping a lot, especially women-led businesses and small initiatives in rural areas. I would cite an initiative that you may have heard about in Baysur village in Mount Lebanon. They established 3 factories in a one year and 1.5 year period, and employing people from the village, employing 8% of pro-abled people, and employing women. So these initiatives, and this was funded by a crowdfunding from the diaspora who are from this village. So if we also count on the diaspora role to help in the funding and help in creating a business model that are agile and that could cope with this crisis situation, we are seeing the crisis like an opportunity, not a problem. And we are preparing for the post-crisis period, because each crisis and every crisis has an end. Fortunately. So this is at the entrepreneurship level. At the second level, it's the governance level. We at the Institute of Finance think that we cannot play or have a role in silos. So if we talk about a good governance of a society and to reach development goals, we should bring hand in hand some efforts and initiatives. I would like to highlight, if you allow me, our work on public procurement reform. I will not go into the details of this reform because this is purely a subject of procurement and financial management. I would like to talk about this reform as a door opened for the private sector, first to know more about it, because we have now a voted law recently in June 30, the Parliament voted the Public Procurement Law, which is the law allowing the government to spend public money, taxpayers' money, in an efficient and transparent way. The law will enter into force in 12 months' time, so in July 2022. In this 12-month period, we have a big responsibility as Institute of Finance, because we are mandated to run all the capacity building, all the communication, all the advocacy, all the awareness raising about this. And the society has also a role, which is to interact with us and to know more about what this law could enable the private sector to participate in a competitive environment in public bids. And public bids are not a small market. They represent at the central level only, not municipalities. So at the level of ministry, it represents 8% of GDP. So this is a big market for the private sector to compete in. And I invite you to visit our website to access this law, and we will eventually publish videos and do some awareness raising for all SMEs, particularly, and also women-led SMEs. So this working together will allow us to go out of the crisis in a better way. And I would like to end on an inspiring note. I wish you could stay with us, Miss Aline Kamakian. She was among the audience, because I would like to convey an inspiring note from her. She said on the August 4 commemoration 1 month ago, we won't let them force us to leave our country. We are free to leave or to stay. This will remain our free choice. So we will stay. Thank you.
Thank you. Between now and 2022, hopefully we will enact the procurement law, and hopefully we will still have anything left that they haven't stolen yet.
It is already enacted, but it will enter into force in July 2022.
With the new parliament, hopefully. And Nisreen has been on the forefront of the activity of LLWB, and she have been witnessing all this energy. First, 470 organizations joining LLWB, joining forces together. What can you tell us about not only the role of LLWB, but from your perspective? How did the role of women entrepreneurs change before 2019 and after 2019, but specifically before August 4th, 2020 and after 2020? And what still can be done to really capitalize and build on all this energy? What is missing? What do you need?
Thank you so much for this question. Definitely the percentage of the women-led businesses or women entrepreneurs is increasing in Lebanon. Maybe it's a slow increase, but it's increasing in Lebanon like any other representation in the workplace or in any other sector. What we have noticed in LLWB starting 2019, definitely the women-led business and entrepreneurs are facing a lot of challenges that I have mentioned here, whether access to finance, access to the market, access to exporting their goods. But I would second Ramy and Madame Najah and everyone in the panel. First, we need to work on the woman herself. She has to be skilled enough. She has to be bold enough. This is what we're doing at LLWB. We have developed an amazing content about business development and the training for the women entrepreneurs and SMEs in Lebanon. And we've been witnessing a lot of change with the mindset first, with the culture second, and with the skills third. And this is what we're doing in the rural areas and in the Bekaa and in the north. Sometimes you go to an entrepreneur, she has an amazing idea. She's doing great work, actually. However, she does not know how to manage her P&L, profit and loss. Some women we have faced in the Bekaa and in the north, they don't know the basic of their legalities if they want to register their company even. So you need to work on her mindset first, that she's able to do it with all what's happening around, to give her a hand. Second, you need to give her the right skills needed. This is what we're doing in terms of training on marketing linkages, training on financial trainings on legalities in many areas in Lebanon. Third, to introduce her to a network. Through your network, it's not about only that LLWB is doing this project in this area. It's about LLWB started this project, and LLWB now is introducing these women entrepreneurs to the network of LLWB in Lebanon. And this is, we need to change our mindset also to partner with people. And this is what we're doing with the entrepreneurs. And not to forget, a main point is about the Lebanese diaspora. We have noticed after August 4, a lot of organizations, especially in the Gulf area, they are approaching LLWB that they want to give their hands to us in order to publicize about the work, to export the goods of the entrepreneurs. What we have done recently, as a quick recap, we have partnered with Silsal. It's also in the Gulf area, where we have published the products of Lebanese entrepreneurs from rural areas on their platform, and they were able to export some goods from Lebanon outside to outside the country. Number two now, and recently we have signed an MOU with She Trades Expo Dubai that's happening in February, where we are willing to take a delegation of women entrepreneurs in Lebanon to present their goods in the Gulf area. Number three is also many other initiatives. They are approaching us in the Kuwait. We have signed MOU with LBCK, the Lebanese business in the Kuwait region, to support the Lebanese diaspora. So what Basma said is really true, that the Lebanese diaspora after August 4, they are doing a lot of work and collaborating with organizations in Lebanon to give hand and in order to help the Lebanese people. But also the Lebanese people, they should be courageous enough, and the Lebanese entrepreneur. When we've done also a quick survey with the Lebanese entrepreneurs, what are the challenges that you face in terms of exporting goods? Definitely logistics challenges, access to network challenges, but there's a third challenge: they are not aware what it takes them in order to export their good outside Lebanon. And this is another or a third point that we are working in LLWB throughout the Women Entrepreneur Program, to give them some awareness, some workshop, accessing to the market outside Lebanon. So you need to work on the mindset, on the woman herself, that she's capable of doing it. She has to be skilled enough to enter the market and to be bold enough. And you need to give her access to your network so she can see a bright side out of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are out of time. So I will ask you, each one of you, to give 1 minute last word, to share with us the 1 minute last word, and then Nisreen will close the panel.
Yeah, looking
Najah.
forward now. What to look for? Hopes. Hopes that women and men would be equal, and we wouldn't categorize women against men or other human elements of the society, whether young, old, gender, or rich or poor. So the equality with the law and the good policies to include everybody and have the same opportunities for everybody is my hope. And thank you, LLWB. You started. Maybe you should take the W off the LLW, LLB. It will be.
Well, for me, it's about, you know, jumping for the opportunities. There are opportunities there. It's difficult. The enabling environment, the economy, everything is shaky. But I think if we put the seed in, there will be roots. So I highly encourage women to be part of seeding the future of Lebanon.
You read my mind. So to add to what he said, I look forward to a more inclusive environment for women with the support of not only men but women also. So we're looking for a better and brighter future.
My final message would be, let's work together. There are a lot of spaces of hope and excellence in the public sector. The image is negative, but the reality is not too negative. So let the private sector open to the public sector, where there is message of hope and experiences of hope that prove that this country has its talents, has the capacity to plan for the future, for a better future, and that the crisis will end in a couple of years or maybe a couple of months, we hope. And it's time to build forward better.
Nisreen, your last word?
My hope is reaching a year where we don't need to do such a panel for only women. This is first. Second, and I would love also to, as LLWB, because we're a women organization supporting women, to end by a quote by Madeleine Albright that says, there is a special place in the hell for women who do not help other women. So let's keep helping each other with the support of the men as well. And thank you so much for your input.
Thank you so much. It's a big honor to have such wonderful panelists. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, LLWB, ESA, LEEP, for this wonderful opportunity to allow the voices to be heard. I'm totally convinced that and confident that the future of Lebanon can only achieve its potential when women lead it. It will be less corrupt. It will be more transparent. It will be more human and humanitarian, and definitely it will be more fair and equal. So let's. I hope that we will see that day. Till then, it's always great to be and to contribute to LLWB event. Thank you so much.